The great French thinker and mystic René Guénon explained in a very beautiful manner in his book La science sacrée du symbole the way in which symbols may help us grasp the meaning, the purpose, and what goes beyond what is apparent in the cosmos in our everyday lives. It's very beautiful because he suggests that we may have a different attitude in life towards everything we encounter in life in such a way that we may try to grasp what everything that is manifested, everything in our everyday lives, really is aiming at, pointing to. That is to say, every situation in nature, in architecture, in geometry, in mathematics, in biology, would be as a sort of image, as a symbol of a higher reality, of a reality that goes beyond perception and reason. But we have to train ourselves to grasp the inner meaning of these symbols that surround us every day in our lives. Schuon, in coherence with René Guénon's statements, coins the concept of metaphysical transparency. This is exactly what we've been talking about. The world is metaphysically transparent, according to Schuon, if we can really take it as what it is, a symbol of this higher order reality. So we should learn to contemplate this symbolic language around us in order to grasp what really lies beyond all this appearance that we call the cosmos and our life. A completely different existential attitude is one in which we consider the world as a place full of objects with which we have to interact. It involves considering reality as it appears to us as truth in itself, as real in itself. According to Friedhof Schuon and René Guénon, this sort of attitude involves some sort of metaphysical opacity. That is to say, we don't really grasp the fact that what we have in front of us is not really something real in itself, but it's only real as far as it depicts or it represents a higher order reality. This is in some way very well explained by Martin Heidegger in quite a different context, but he does this distinction between the concept of Vorhandenheit and Zuhandenheit. In the first one, it is as if we have in front of us the object, which is something separate from us. In the other one, it is the object is something that doesn't appear as an object at all, but it's part of our Sein in der Welt, our being in the world. Of course, it's used in that context in a very different philosophy, which is phenomenology, but it's related to our subject as far as it explains or it involves this distinction between the object as something that is in front of us or the object as something that pertains to our existence, but in a different way, as a sort of pointer towards something that goes beyond our capacity to perceive and to reason. I think this is a very good point, a very good moment where we can recapitulate. First of all, we mentioned the fact that we may distinguish a symbolic language from a more rational language on the one hand, or a language related just to immediate perception. We also said that this symbolic language, according to thinkers like René Guénon or Friedhof Schuon, is a sort of map or a metaphor of a higher order reality. And the invitation is to learn to contemplate the symbolic structures all around us. For instance, instead of seeing different objects that might depict something like the strength in nature, instead of focusing our attention in the multiplicity of these objects, they invite us to focus our attention on that which lies beyond each one of these objects, in this case, strength in itself. or beauty or majesty or serenity. Each one of these attributes, according to this perspective, would be like divine attributes or the blueprints out of which everything is manifested in the world, in the cosmos. So, this symbolic approach to reality involves some sort of learning how to quiet, how to calm down our mind, our conceptual mind, in such a way that we may contemplate in a very open and silent manner what lies beyond. And what is this that lies beyond? It seems to be these blueprints, these archetypes, which could be like the names of God in the Sufi tradition. In order to make sense of all this, probably it would be important to talk a little bit more deeply about what we mean by symbol and also what we mean by the image of the veil. The symbol will be understood as the perceptual support to something that cannot be grasped perceptually or rationally, but in a so-called supra-rational manner. It is something that the heart may grasp immediately, but can only be grasped through the use or through the support of the symbol. So the symbol is something like a tool that might help us understand in an intuitive manner what lies beyond the symbol itself. The veil is an image that might help us understand in which way the symbol is something that on the one hand hides this higher order reality, but on the other hand is something that announces or points us towards where this higher order reality exists or lies. So the veil is something that at the same time hides or shows what we are looking at, what we are trying to discover. From that perspective, and considering this idea of a metaphysical transparency, one could say that the word is a veil that hides this higher order reality, but at the same time, if we get into a very contemplative attitude, might help us grasp intuitively this higher order reality, which is closer to the one. Underlying all this conceptualization, there is an assumption, the assumption that the cosmos and reality is a manifestation, the unfolding into multiplicity of this oneness, and the assumption that we are called to or we are attracted to this oneness, which is the inner peace within ourselves, and that we can get closer and closer to this unity through these symbols that, through contemplation, might lead us in an experiential and direct manner to experience this unity or this union with the One. So, this is an invitation to change our existential attitude in such a way that we may amplify our horizon whenever we are interacting with life, in such a way that life can be considered as a symbol of something that lies beyond our perception and beyond our capacity to reason. If we consider it like this, which is the invitation of Friedhof Schuon, René Guénon, and to a certain extent, Hossein Nasr, if we consider it like this, then we are also being invited to develop a capacity that we have lost in the Western world, the capacity for contemplation. Contemplation understood as quieting our conceptual mind in such a way that we can grasp in an intuitive manner whatever might lie beyond what we are perceiving or what we can analytically understand. So if we begin to perceive reality as real only in the sense that it depicts a higher order reality, if we learn to perceive reality as a symbol, and we learn to silence our conceptual mind and let our heart unfolds its truth through intuitive messages or visions or understandings in a sudden manner without any cognitive process, just as something that appears before us through contemplation, then we might probably be understanding what the great sages have meant by learning to see reality as what it is, a symbol of God.